All right, we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Player Choice's newest show, Press Box. I'm your host, Nadia, and I'm excited to introduce everyone on the panel. We've got J-Rob, Bama, Olivia, DP, and MJ. Excited to be starting the show with y'all. Before we get started, I do want to shout out our GOAT members and our Hall of Fame stars. Jeremias, IDWC, Avion, Damien, Loaded, Poppin' It Clips, and our legend, Ryan Kendall. If you want to become a member, click join to see all of our membership offers. All right, we're going to go ahead and kick things off. And for our first topic of today's show, we've got Travis Kelce pleading to Chris Jones to come back to camp over a contract holdout. So just for some context for y'all, Jones, who would be entering his 8th season with the Chiefs, is still holding out as he seeks a new contract with the start of the regular season just a few days away. He was absent the entirety of training camp, racking up a plethora of fines. Travis Kelce went on his podcast New Heights with his brother Jason and said, "I really want to get another Super Bowl ring with you, brother. This is me bargaining you to just come back and play football for the Chiefs. Please, we need you right now. We need you bad." Okay, y'all, how are we feeling about this situation? J-Rob, do you want to get us started?
Personally, obviously I feel like Chris Jones was one of the best defensive players in the world this year. And in the NFL, you only have a certain amount of time to make the most money possible. And there's only a certain amount of guaranteed money you can make in contracts. This is not the NBA. This is not MLB. Chris Jones knows his worth. And obviously, on a contender like the Chiefs, there's going to be growing pains because as players become stars, the market gets larger and it's hard to keep the continuity. That's why you hope to hit in the draft, hoping to bring in people in free agency to try to replicate the production that you're ultimately going to lose when some of these players hit the market. Chris Jones, at the end of the day, this year is probably a top 5, top 7 player in the world of all of football, one of the best players in all of the game. And if he feels like he's worth more, he has to hold out because he already won a Super Bowl. I don't think for him, his legacy won't be cemented if he wins 5, 6, or 7 Super Bowls. It isn't. But that money he can make right in this moment, that lasts a lifetime. So I understand Travis Kelce is pleading with him, but this is also a Travis Kelce who is probably one of the most underpaid tight ends in the league in his market as well. So he might find himself in the same situation of a year or two down the line. So ultimately, I look at this and I'm kind of siding with Chris Jones. You got to do what you got to do for yourself, and if that means you're playing somewhere else next season, that's what it'll be.
Starting us off hot. Okay, Bam, what is your take on this?
I honestly couldn't agree with J-Rob more just based off his position. It's not a lot of life in a lot of positions outside of probably like QB and receiver, kicker. So, you got a ring. Go get your money. And then, I said this in the beginning when Patrick Mahomes got that $500 million. I don't care what nobody said. I was going to get a lot of dudes in that locker room jealous. So when it's their turn to get a contract, if I ain't getting no super fat contract like that, man, I'm mad. That's what they're going to point out. Well, you gave him $500 million. I need something more than this. So every time you go look at a contract, it's like, oh, well, this dude getting this. So it just made it real bad for business. I think they should just really get rid of the salary cap. That's like really, really ugly in the NFL. I don't know like what that would look like without one, but they should just really get rid of that, especially with how they pay QBs now. You got to rob Peter to pay Paul, and that's kind of unfair to some other positions because D-line, not a lot of shelf life in them type positions, running back. And they already don't want to pay him. So it's like when it's time to get their money, go and get your money. Gilbert Arenas brought up a good point. Would you trade in $50 million out of $170 million you made for a ring? Hell no. No. You got athletes every day pawning rings. I don't care about them rings. So it's like,
right.
Give me my money. Let me get some money too.
All right. Liv, what's your take?
Yeah, obviously, if you were to listen a little bit longer in that podcast, Jason comes back, Travis Kelce's brother, and it's like, no, Chris Jones, make sure you know what you're worth, and maybe don't come back until after you guys play the Eagles, which I thought was pretty funny. But that podcast is awesome. Yeah. But yeah, similar to J-Rob and Bama, you got to go get your money. And Chris Jones has proven all eight years in the league that he's worth the money. And I don't think the Chiefs win the Super Bowl last year without Chris Jones. So
very true.
He's he's a top 3 player on their team and deserves to get paid so.
Okay, DP.
To be honest, I think Chris Jones is doing exactly what he needs to do. When you play sports, it's one of those lottery ticket type of deals, right? When you're playing in the NFL, the NBA, whatever sport it is, you have to maximize your time there. Owners, media, and other outlets care about legacy more than the players themselves, right? Because the legacy is not going to pay one light bill when you're done with it. Also, what people don't realize, I train a lot of professional athletes. There's only certain players playing for legacy. Nobody's going to really be talking about Chris Jones 100 years from now. They might be talking about Patrick Mahomes, right? Some of the things Lamar Jackson, but there's only certain players that truly have a legacy. So they try and hold that legacy over your head when your legacy is going to be done in the next 5 years, right? After you retire. And there's players right now that I train that play Division I football. And you ask them about some of the most elite Hall of Famers at their position, and a kid that is a Division I athlete doesn't even know who that player is. We're not talking about the average everyday person. We're talking about the person that plays their exact same position. And this dude has been out of the league for 10 years and is in the Hall of Fame. So therefore, owners try to use these things against players. I tell every player, I don't care what anybody says about your legacy. Go get money, because at the end of the day, you have to pay for your family and the people that you brought up with you, the house and the bills along that come with it. And a lot more guys are understanding that, and owners and even the fans are hating it because the players are coming more knowledgeable of what really is a legacy. Because let me ask you and finish this, even though it's not Chris Jones. What's LeBron's legacy? What's Jordan's legacy? It's still going to be debated.
Right.
Think about it. If the greatest are getting debated, what will Chris Jones' legacy ultimately be? If we don't even know who's better between LeBron and Jordan.
Right. That's a great point.
For sure. MJ, you want to round us out?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everybody here. And I ain't going to lie, I got a problem with Travis Kelce even speaking on this. Just because you aren't getting paid what you're worth does not mean that Chris Jones should do the same thing like you when, you know, he's not getting paid what he's worth. Chris Jones is coming off 15.5 sacks last season. That's a career high for him. He's not on the downside of his prime. He's in the smack middle of his prime, and he wants to get paid. And I'm all for it. So many times we have guys like, you know, the running backs, you know, the Saquon Barkley's, like, they end up folding. This guy, you know, he's one of the few NFL players, and Chris Jones, that is saying, no, I'm going to stand up to this, and y'all going to pay, you know, the NFL. Obviously, like, the quarterback is the most important position. We all know that. But the way that they pay some of these middle-of-the-pack quarterbacks and then neglect, like, some of the, you know, premier, you know, positions, the defensive ends, you literally don't get a sack unless the defensive ends is really on their game. Like, I believe the Chiefs, they might put up 40 points, but without Chris Jones, they'll be in shootouts every single time. They're not becoming a potential dynasty if they already won right now without Chris Jones. So I'm all for it, and I got a little bit of a problem with Travis Kelce speaking on it. I know that he wants to win and all that, but you know what Chris Jones is trying to do. He's trying to get his money.
Right.
Why are you even speaking on it to begin with?
Nah, I agree.
For sure. Awesome. Would love to have Kelce on here and have y'all debate him on this, but thank you for starting us off hot. So our next topic, kind of on the same kind of wavelength. So just days out from the start of the season, the drama continues coming out of Tampa Bay. We've got 4-time Pro Bowl wide receiver and team captain Mike Evans setting a week 1 deadline to receive a new contract from the Bucs. And if that wasn't enough, his representation indicated that Evans will look to play elsewhere in 2024 if no deal is reached. Talk about an offseason of player empowerment. I'm curious, what are y'all thinking about this? J-Rob.
I mean, I hope they don't pay him, because there's a team up in New York City that just lost a receiver to retirement. And we got a lot of money. Aaron Rodgers gave some of that bread back. To all my people in the chat, I would never recommend to do that in any facet of your life. Do not give that money back. But he did give that money back. So since he gave that money back, in my head, I'm just thinking the Jets could use another guy. Like, I love Alan Lazard, but I also think Alan Lazard is just more of a Aaron Rodgers, make Rodgers comfortable type of guy to bring in. I don't think really if Aaron Rodgers wasn't in New York, we paid an Alan Lazard that type of money. I'm not going to lie. So as somebody who still feels like we need one more piece in our offense, I know I sound like, aren't you spoiled? You just got Dalvin Cook. You got Garrett Wilson. I sound spoiled, but Mike Evans is a legit top 15 receiver, a level in consistency. I mean, imagine having one side Garrett Wilson, another side Mike Evans. You have Lazard and Mecole Hardman. Lazard's one of the best blocking receivers in the league. Oh man, it just feels like a Super Bowl. Like it just feels like it. So Tampa, please don't pay him. Send him to somewhere else to be great. And I think he could come be great in New York, and we got the money to do it. So I would love for my go on his merry way.
Okay, Liv, I see you smiling over there. What are your thoughts on this?
Listen, the Jets don't need Mike Evans. Come on, the AFC East already loaded. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so much fun. Obviously, as a Bills fan, yeah, no, please, just please no. But yeah, I mean, Evans has posted 9 straight 1,000-yard seasons with Tampa Bay and holds a lot of their records as receivers. Played with a plethora of different quarterbacks. Obviously, had the fortune to play with Tom Brady and win a Super Bowl. But yeah, he's a top 15 wide receiver. I think one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league, pretty much since he's come in. So I think he deserves to get paid ultimately, and I'm a little bit confused why Tampa Bay isn't paying him. He has voiced him wanting to stay there for his entire career and has said that's something that would mean a lot to him, especially in the NFL where a lot of players are going to different franchises all the time. So, if I'm Tampa Bay, I pay him. He's been one of the most outstanding players on the team and a great guy, I think, also in the community. So seems like a perfect fit for me from where I stand to just stay in Tampa Bay. We're good with that.
All right, Liv says stay in Tampa Bay. Bama, what do you say?
Pretty much the same thing. You got to get your money somewhere. He feel like he probably won't be able to get out the Bucks because, like you said, he have been there 9 years. And in the NBA, it's politics. They go bet against Father Time. So it's like he a veteran. It's like, how much life do we have left? And then one thing with the receiver, it's a lot of great receivers out there now. So that's probably how a lot of NFL GMs is thinking. It's like, all right, cool. You not with it. I can get somebody for cheaper. And then let's not forget about this. Somebody for cheaper. Marvin Harrison the second coming out from OSU. So it's a lot of GMs already thinking like that. So if a receiver not doing what they want to do, they're already thinking about the college guys and all that other type of stuff. One team I probably really want to see him go to, though, believe it or not, would be like the Carolina Panthers. Go over there with Bryce Young, give him a nice little safety net. Bryce Young needs something over there because right now what he got like a lot of good route runners, stealing, all that type of stuff. But I think he needs somebody like for that red zone that could really help him out down there. Just give him a little bit of extra weapons because I know this dude want the whole NFL to go over. I even like to see him go to the Ravens. Give Lamar something else too. Give Lamar a little something else on top of Zay Flowers and OBJ. Give him a nice little red zone threat outside of Andrews. So Mark Andrews. So I mean, I like that as well. But I don't know. This is my take.
Okay, Bama's open to a change of scenery. What about you, MJ?
I think I'm a Mike Evans fan, and I'm an Eagles fan too, so I don't really have too much fight. Like, it's not even my division. So it doesn't really matter to me whether he stays or whether he leaves. But when you talk about the best wide receivers in the game, Mike Evans is not better than Tyreek Hill. He's not better than Devontae Adams. Not better than Cooper Kupp. Not better than AJ Brown. Not better than Stefon Diggs. Not better than Justin Jefferson. If I'm the Bucks GM, like, why am I giving him a mega contract? Like, why? I mean, for them to give Mike Evans like mega contract, it's either they believe in Baker Mayfield a lot, or they think that they're gonna end up getting like some star quarterback in the draft. Which I don't think. I think one guy who is upset about this, probably the most upset, is Baker Mayfield, because he's going to need as much help as he can get. So
Yeah.
there's one guy that's probably pissed about this, but I don't feel like he's made some good money in the NFL, especially for wide receiver Mike Evans, and I just feel like he is on the downside of his career. I don't think he's gonna have any more career highs or elevate his game more than it was back with Tom Brady. So I would say move on, look young, just like Bama said. And again, Marvin Harrison, he's coming up, guy from Philly too. Saw him firsthand at St. Joe's Prep cooking.
Yeah,
he's unreal, bro.
Yeah, he's unreal.
See, what he does. Maybe he becomes a buck.
Awesome. I love MJ coming in with Baker Mayfield's POV. DP, what's yours?
I love Mike. Mike's a great player. He's technically probably the most consistent receiver in the NFL that there's been, being the only guy who's ever started a career and had 1,000-yard season for 9 straight seasons. Nobody else has ever done that. Only Mike has. I think the problem with Mike's want for money is you have to have leverage. Chris Jones has a little leverage, and I say that by we're a Super Bowl contender. We actually need you, and we want to win again. The Bucs aren't a Super Bowl contender. So technically it's like, what would I really pay you for if even we have you, we're probably still not going to make the playoffs.
Right.
That's what happens with a lot of guys in negotiations. You have to realize when you negotiate, you have to have leverage. And usually your leverage comes from them needing you to take them over the top, or we need you for the Super Bowl run, or this run late in the season. It's hard to get leverage from a coach, a GM, or owner when we're in a rebuild process, right? You got Baker Mayfield, Brady just left. Also, they were the losingest organization, I believe, in football. Well, we won a Super Bowl and we were good for the last 3 years or whatever. So they're kind of sitting back and being like, hey, we got something, recently. We've been at the bottom. We got a Super Bowl. So let's just take a little time. Let's rebuild and then maybe go back at it. So I think that's going to be the hardest thing for him, is they're not a contender right now. So if we have you or we don't, we're probably still going to be the same bad team. But if you're bringing Tom Brady back, I guarantee you, and Brady was in his prime or after that Super Bowl run, and this was the same thing, it'll be a no-brainer because we're trying to run it back. So when the situation they're in right now, I think it's definitely going to be tough for him to get the money that he wants.
Okay.
Right.
Nice.
Can I just add one thing to that too? I think also to DP's point as well, I thought the best part about him just bringing up the fact that he doesn't have any leverage. Let's just say, for example, that the Buccaneers wanted to pay him. Let's just say they gave him the money, but they still suck. How long till he's asking for a trade? How many unhappy years he's going to be there as well? So I think in some ways the Buccaneers got to look at it as like, we got to get out of this problem ahead of time, because obviously as much as we love Mike Evans and what he's brought to the city, I think in some ways they probably feel like we would be wasting his time and ours by giving him this big contract. They're probably looking towards the future, to be honest.
And one more thing. I mean, the amount of rookie wide receivers that have been coming into the league and taking the league by storm, that we kind of mentioned it, the talent that's coming in from the college ranks right now is crazy. So it definitely is, I think, in the next couple seasons, going to probably hurt some of the veteran wide receivers like we kind of are seeing with running backs. Mm-hmm. Like the younger guys come in on a much lower contract so you can build around them. And then, unfortunately, it's time to get paid.
Right. Not
looking as good, but there's so many awesome younger wide receivers right now in the league that I don't see it stopping. Yeah.
Awesome. Looks like we got the chat having their own little debate in here, which I love that. Okay, moving away from the drama, let's mix things up a bit. We have been kind of kept it kind of even keel. Maybe this next segment will fire things up even within the panel. So let's play my favorite game of start, bench, cut, QB edition. Now, guys, I think these 3 QBs that we have all eyes on them. They may be coming into this season feeling like they have something to prove. If you couldn't guess already, we've got Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. Liv, start us off. Who would you start, bench, and cut?
Oh, this one hurts me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. you guys will know, if you don't already know, I'm the biggest Bills fan in the world. All right. Where we got Buffalo forever. Grew up in Buffalo. I love the Buffalo Bills. And of course, Josh Allen is the savior of our city. But I will unfortunately admit that I do think Joe Burrow is better than him. So start Joe Burrow. I mean, you just have to be realistic. I'm trying to put my biases aside. Joe Burrow obviously beat him last year in the playoffs, head-to-head in Buffalo, and went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and actually beaten Patrick Mahomes in meaningful games in his first couple seasons. He quite literally turned around the entire Cincinnati Bengals franchise and has just a proven winner in college and now in the NFL when he's healthy, good to go. So I would absolutely start Joe Burrow. With that being said, absolutely bench Josh Allen. He's actually won a few playoff games, unlike the other guy, Justin Herbert, and hasn't given up a huge lead in the playoff game against Trevor Lawrence last season. So I know there's a lot of injuries that come alongside with the Chargers franchise, it seems like, or at least that's what they like to claim it on, injuries and bad luck. But Josh Allen has obviously proven that he can go toe-to-toe with some of the best best quarterbacks and teams in the AFC with the Bengals and Chiefs, and Justin Herbert just haven't proven that yet. So that's where I stand, pretty firm.
Awesome. Looks like J-Rob and Bama are just itching to say their takes. So whoever goes first is next up.
Go ahead, Bama. You go first.
Nah, because you know when every time I hear Herbert, I just think about one person. So I'll go cut him regardless because I really want to summon him. You right, Toast to go. I want to summon him, Dookie. I'm cutting him. Matter of fact, I'm going to trade him for Lamar, and then I'm going to bench Lamar and start Joe Burrow still and cut Josh Allen too. I want to summon him just so he know this. I want to summon him. Then I'm going to trade for Derek Carr, and then trade Derek Carr for Jimmy John sandwich. All right, just so you know that how bad I want to summon him so bad, just so he know. But based off of what everybody said, it's easy. Joe Burrow. Then I'll go Josh Allen, just based off of track record, and you gotta cut Herbie. Sorry, Bucko. You gotta go.
Yeah. For me, obviously, I feel like it's easy to start Joe Burrow. I feel like it's a no-brainer. Like, smoking Joe Burrow is easily the guy to start. But honestly, Nadia, can I cut both of them? Like, if it was up to me, I'd cut both of them for real. And honestly, my bench would be like Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson, maybe even a little Jalen Hurts, if you ask me. I'm not really the highest on Josh Allen because, you know, I'm a Jets fan. You know, Liv knows we're both Northeast people. We watch a lot of AFC East. I've been watching the Bills my whole life. Been watching the Jets my whole life. So I've seen Josh Allen from his rookie year to now. I've been able to really watch his career. And, you know, in some ways, there are just things about him, to me personally, that I'm not all the way sold about. I think in a lot of ways, I still see in games to me that don't seem like cakewalks, except for the playoff game against the Chiefs. I will give him that. He was balling. I think in a lot of the ways, I say this a lot on Player's Choice, for him, when he rains, it pours for Josh Allen to me. When he starts to look bad, to me, he just starts looking worse and worse. I don't really know how good Josh Allen is as a player at weathering storms. And I think he's got a lot of and maybe I'm a little low on him because of, and Liv, this is really the fault of the NFL world, anointing Josh Allen to these heights. And so when you get anointing to heights, you kind of get those expectations now. And so when people were calling him second best in the world, and at one point they were saying they didn't know if who was better between him and Mahomes. And when we started getting to that point, I think that's what kind of got me like, this guy I've been watching for the last 4 or 5 years. I don't see what y'all are seeing. And so I think that may be a lot more critical of him because of that. So for me, I will always start Joey B. In all reality, I think I'd start Joe Burrow. I'm going bench Justin Herbert. just because, look, I'm hard on Justin Herbert too, but he don't have Brian Dable. I think Brandon Staley has the hottest coaching seat in all of sports right now. I think that team could start off the year if they start off like 3-7, 3-5, something like that. I can see Kellen Moore being the new head coach of the Chargers mid-season. That's how bad I think. That's how low I am on Staley. But and then I'll cut Josh Allen.
You got Herbert over Allen?
No, but this is just my squad. Like I like I like Herbert's upside more than I like Allen's upside. He ain't my starter. He on my bench for a reason. He's sitting there to learn anyway. He ain't supposed to play. He ain't the superstar.
Man, this guy Herbert, bro. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's more overrated than Josh Allen. At least Josh Allen has done something in the postseason. Justin Herbert, I mean, he had a huge lead, coughed it up.
Mm-hmm.
His coach Brandon Staley isn't the best, but at the end of the day, if you are that guy, you got to get it done. And I'm sorry, like, I get so tired of people saying, oh, well, you see his accuracy, you see all these highlight plays. Where is the proof and the results? That's why I feel like Justin Herbert has the most pressure on him out of any quarterback this season. It's either him and Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think Lamar Jackson has way more pressure going into this year than Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert could have another year where they lose in the first round, or they could be a wild card team and get in, and he's going to get so much grace. He's gotten so much grace since he's coming into the league. He's going to get more. He's going to still have that same grace. So I don't feel like he has a bunch of pressure, because I think even if the Chargers don't, I've never seen, to me, out of all the top quarterbacks in the NFL, this includes Josh Allen, I don't even think he gets a lot of excuses. I think Justin Herbert, of all the top premier quarterbacks in the league, he gets the most outs to me of any of them.
Facts.
And so I feel like the pressure for him this year, I still could see them underachieving. And I think the conversation is going to be Brandon Staley
or
the
Why do you think that is? You think it's just the coaching staff?
I think because of that, because so many people aren't sold on the coaching staff, that's always going to be that safety net for him, I believe, personally. So I don't feel like I don't really agree that he has more pressure. Like, I think Russ has more pressure. Deshaun, I think Aaron Rodgers has so much more pressure. I think Lamar has more pressure. And I think that pressure came after a playoff game in his rookie season. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I haven't seen those standards. I haven't seen those standards on Justin Herbert in my eyes.
But do you think it's fair, though?
Oh, hell no.
I say what's fair is definitely Justin Herbert has more pressure than Lamar. Lamar, at least he got an MVP. He got a postseason win. You need to see something from Justin Herbert, who people have said, I'm a huge Eagles fan. People are saying that he's over Jalen Hurts. I'm like, well, Jalen Hurts proved more in one season that he got A.J. Brown that Justin Herbert got with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, all these guys. So, I feel like I will agree. Maybe most pressure is kind of high because you do have Russell Wilson, who, he got to show some. Is he still the same guy? But back to your point, or back to the topic at hand with the start bench cut, I'm gonna definitely start Joe Burrow, just because I think he's the second best quarterback in the league. I think even without an offensive line, he's still cooking. And he gives you that belief that, like, all right, if we got this guy, we got a chance. Mahomes and Hurts are the only guys, I believe, after the post Tom Brady era, where we're like, all right, if we got this guy, it gives me belief that we got a chance. And yes, I'm saying Hurts. I still believe he just motivates the whole entire team just go and do better. Now, Josh Allen, I'll bench him. I do think at times he's overrated. And a lot of his postseason flaws, like last year, I know he was injured for a little bit, but you on the field. No excuses, bro. You on the field. And so I'm gonna cut Justin Herbert, like I said, but yeah, that's my picks there.
Those are all good points. I think this graphic actually looked a lot better last year before the season started. We say it might shake it up, but to be honest, if you watch this season, Joe clearly separated from Josh, and Herbert tricked off a 30-point lead, right? and then everything in between the Bills game the year before with the Chiefs. So we have seen Josh Allen do some things. I actually thought Josh Allen was going to take a step forward last year and maybe win an MVP. Him and Diggs doing some things, trying to come back from that heartbreak with the Chiefs. But Joe Burrow, I think, is the clear number one for this to start. I think you got to go Josh Allen. He's clearly done more than what Justin Herbert has done. And then when you even think about it, there's that true belief I feel from the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Chase is like, hey, bro, if you even nicked up a little bit, sit out till week 5, get totally healthy. We just need you when you're ready. Compared to Diggs, we're hearing is trying to get out.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times it just shows the leadership from a quarterback when a guy can get as many balls as Diggs does and still not kind of be happy there. It kind of more of a personality leadership thing. Do you think at any point Jamar Chase will be asking out from the Bengals? Like, right? You don't see that. So I think that's a big thing. Herbert gets way too much of a pass. He's he should be the happiest athlete of all time right now for the next man up contract system. Right? Yeah. He's done nothing, and he's now the highest paid NFL player, at least Lamar, MVP.
It's ridiculous.
Jalen Hurts went to a Super Bowl. Herbert has done nothing, and because of next man up, as long as you're in that top 5 jumble, you will get the contract. So he's really good in that aspect as far as being lucky with that. And the injuries, we know that happened for the team and the defense and some of these guys. But when you lost that playoff game, bro, you didn't have enough. You were healthy enough to go up 30. So you should at least be healthy enough to not lose the second half by 31. Just lose by 29.
Preach.
Right.
You were literally healthy enough to go up by 30, so you should be healthy enough to hold on. Technically, it's almost like that Falcon Super Bowl where it got to you realize all you have to do is dang near kneel the ball, let the clock run down, kneel the ball, and you probably would have won more than what you did on offense. They probably would have won if you think about it, still in the ball for the whole second half, and defense get like 2 stops, they would have won the game. But instead, you run terrible offense, have bad plays, and then we lose. So I think Herbert is very far behind Burrow, and there's still a gap between him and Allen because there's other quarterbacks in between them as well that I would list off.
Can I ask a question? Actually, this question is for Liv because DP brought up a crazy ass point, and I've actually thought about it. We've never talked about it on Players Choice. So I've never had a chance to say it out loud. I think the fact that you said that Diggs caught over 100 receptions, and still in some ways seems like he's unhappy. I agree. Like you got to figure out what the fundamental flaw there is because I don't understand that. You should be the happiest guy on the team. You always eating. And so, Liv, my question to you is, as the resident Bills Mafia representative, have you heard anything about that, or what are even like some of your thoughts on that whole situation? Because that is something that kind of lost me. Like, I thought they like loved each other. I thought Josh Allen and Diggs were like, like Gerald and Hey Arnold. Like, I don't understand how it just. I thought they was locked in. So this whole story now, and obviously, I think everybody remembers the image, hands like this, looking at Josh on the bench. I think everybody remembers that. So that's
on the bench as well.
Yeah.
Visibly super frustrated. It wasn't that one game.
Yeah. So it just looked like that blow up seemed like that been coming, because and like you said, DP, I don't think Jamar Chase could be so mad at Joe Burrow on the field. I don't think he would ever do that to him on the sideline.
And before Liv answers, I'll say this. I played college. I played receiver in college. If I got 100 catches, I don't care if the quarterback try and talk to my girlfriend. Like that's what things. If I'm getting the rock, I'm good.
I'm good.
The fact that you're a premier wide receiver, the clear number one, and you're still mad says a lot because only thing that matters for a wide receiver is throw me the ball. And if I'm getting my catches and my production, I have no problems with. Y'all might want to talk bad about the quarterback. The fans might hate him. But receivers literally after the game don't go look at the win and the loss column. They go straight back and see how many catches and yards I got. And
that's why your receivers get on my nerves. I played corner in college, and that's why I get on my nerves because they don't give a damn about the win or loss. You'll see a receiver will be the only player on the football team that you'll win by 40 and be the only one in the locker room pissed off because they only caught 2 passes for 40 yards.
Or,
and that's
or
not
happy that they got busy. I had 8 for 140. I don't know what y'all was doing.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah. So to answer the question, there's obviously a lot I think that goes into it. Some off the field stuff for sure, I think. But my big thing is, yes, throughout the regular season, Diggs is getting his catches. But in the Chiefs game, the crazy 13-second game, and against the Bengals last year in our loss in the playoffs, he wasn't getting the rock.
Right.
And that was why? You know, your guess is
Gabe
as good as mine.
Davis. Gabe Davis was eating though. I thought it was about the team.
Against the Chiefs for sure. But like we were just talking about, wide receivers are a different breed. They care about one thing only. And I mean, I love Stefon Diggs, but he had the same issue in Minnesota before where he was frustrated. He got up out of there. Everyone was saying he's a diva. Then he comes over to Buffalo. No, he's not a diva at all. Him and Josh Allen, best friends, bromance, the whole 9 yards. Now, I think so much of it, too, has to do with the lack of, unfortunately, in big-time moments, we, as a franchise, have come short. And all of that really does come on the shoulders of Josh Allen. And whether that's fair or not, he's the one throwing Stefon Diggs the ball. I think some of it's a little bit overblown, but I'm not going to lie to you. When it was training camp and he didn't show up for that first day and Coach McDermott was like, I'm very concerned. I was like, oh, that's a little bit scarier from a fan's perspective, as I thought it would just for sure he'll show up. Not a big deal.
I will give Josh Allen a little pass, even though I brought it up. There is something I will give him a little pass just because of both Diggs brothers are 2 very emotional guys. Stefon, like I said, you can see his frustrations on the field from time to time, and Trayvon stays on Twitter arguing with fans, Pro Football Focus about, and stuff. So I will give Allen a little pass, but I will say the reason why he doesn't get the full pass is because when your receiver is mad or even disappointed in you, when they respect you, they don't do it publicly. I've never the Brady, Rodgers, Manning, ain't nobody ever stood over him like that in a playoff while about to lose a playoff game.
Sure.
Like, there's the lack of respect there when you do that in a public setting on, in the playoffs. Like, nobody, that's not happening to Burrow, Rodgers, Brady, and all the other guys that have respect. So there is a lack of respect there for whatever reason.
So is Josh Allen a bad leader?
I wouldn't.
You also have to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Stefon Diggs was also claimed to be or positioned as a captain this season. So it's also important to realize that some of this stuff is for sure going to be blown up by social media. When Stephen A. Smith comes out with it saying like, oh, I have an inside scoop. Okay. And at this point, I'm going to take Stefon Diggs at his word. He apparently wants to stick in Buffalo. But no, is Josh Allen a bad leader? You guys know my take on that. I think all the guys.
I don't know if he is or isn't. I just posed the question.
I don't
playing
know
devil's advocate.
But those guys are out there on the field. I think they have a pretty good understanding that as a leader, they have a good chance to win because he's QB1. So
true, facts. MJ, you was about to go or Bama? Y'all want to say something?
Bama.
Well, I was gonna go, but it's kind of pertaining to the super chat, so I was gonna say if Nadia wanted to read them real quick.
Right, perfect. That was right what I was gonna get into. We got our first, our first super chat of the show from Trent. Okay, Lamar has way more pressure than Herbert. We all been preaching that. Give Lamar weapons, and he's basically going to the Super Bowl. So now it's time to showtime. What are y'all's takes on this?
Oh, okay.
Herbert got weapons too.
Yeah, that's what we live in today's era where a quarterback should have weapons. You see what I'm saying? So
yes,
this is the whole thing I've been saying with the most pressure. when I was talking about the most pressure, it's kind of weird how they always summon up Lamar Jackson, but I kind of got to go back to when we was talking about with Gridiron, when we was judging Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley when they was coming off their injuries. It was kind of hard to tell that Saquon was going to be the back he was just this past year, because the first times him coming back, it looked a little shaky versus Christian McCaffrey. He looked like the same old Christian McCaffrey. With Lamar Jackson, the only thing you can say is he just gets hurt, and he plays a physical, brutal sport. We can't help that. But when Lamar is on the field, he is nothing short of magnificent. Like, so I don't understand where does this Lamar pressure come from, because every time he's on the field, he is performing that of a MVP level. He just can't help that sometimes, just given the way that he plays, running and passing the football, he is susceptible to some licks like that. That's why I give Josh Allen the benefit of the doubts. It's hard being the primary rusher and you have to throw the ball in clutch situations. Like, bro, I just ripped off a 40-yard run. Now you want to sit down here and want to dial up a dot, and you expect me to throw a perfect spiral. Like, sometimes, bro, like, that's why I sit back and tell you not to jump off subjects. What Travis Hunter did yesterday, bro, I still can't believe I witnessed that with my own two eyes. Like, I can't believe I witnessed that type of stamina throughout an athlete, throughout 4 quarters of a football game. So going back to Josh Allen and guys like Lamar Jackson, I got to give them the benefit of the doubt when they get hurt. But when Lamar is on the field, he looks great. He have MVP-like performances. The quarterback with the most pressure to me is Dak Prescott. Y'all gave that. You did.
Oh my God!
I ain't mad at it.
In your purse.
Deep
in your purse for that, and that boy comes up trash after trash. Another person on fraud watch, Kyler Murray. You did deep in your pocketbook to have to put a clause in there. Hey, bro, you need 4 hours out the week or something to read. Bro, a quarterback, you got to put this in your. You got to put this in your contract for a quarterback. Another dude on fraud watch, Trent. Daniel Jones, 40 million for 15 touchdowns.
15
for 15.
15.
Boy, you better cut it out, boy, with that Lamar hate, bro. Like, we ought to. How much he been playing that wing T Navy offense, bro? This was a given. He was bound to get that, bro. Listen, Joe Burrow scratched getting the O-line and said, "Hey, what? Get me another weapon." With the 5th overall pick, he said, "I don't care about the O-line. I'll figure out how to get it done with no block. Get me another weapon." What's wrong with Lamar getting some weapons? Then he got an outdated OBJ, 2 injuries deep. Like, bro, we're not even finna do this, bro. I don't even want to shame OBJ because I love OBJ. I really love OBJ because for his generational talent, we can't help with the injuries. But we're not even finna do Lamar like this. Like, he just got an all-star studded weapon cast right now, bro. We're not even finna do the weapon talk with that because y'all make me mad with how they ride Lamar for no reason, bro. He doing the best he can do, bro. Like, for real. So I'm sorry.
I will say we got to realize, like, certain people get certain responsibilities placed on them or certain hate placed on them due to what they are, who they look like, or how they do it. Deion Sanders gets the type of hate he gets because he's Deion and he's doing it different. Lamar gets the type of hate he gets because it's Lamar Jackson. He looks different. He talks different. He plays different. Lamar doesn't get in trouble in the offseason. Lamar has never had no receivers. Now that he has all these weapons, well, other quarterbacks have way better weapons than what he has. Lamar got 3 handguns, and all these other quarterbacks got bazookas. Herbert will now have the Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, and Williams. Geno got my boy Jackson, Smith and Jigba, Lockett, and DK. Joe Burrow we know who he got. We can go down a list of these other quarterbacks with real weapons. Like you said, OBJ is 2 injuries deep. OBJ, when he was, before the injuries was cut, you could tell that weight stayed on him. And he's way thicker now of upper body and everything else. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to be the same OBJ, I don't feel, right? So don't make it seem like, we got OBJ. Then you have Bateman, who is still
we don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
Got a rookie wide receiver who is a great route runner, but it's also a smaller rookie wide receiver. And we got to figure out how healthy he can stay, because if he's going to get a lot of rocks and all that. So we're making it seem now like we traded Lamar Jackson for Joe Burrow and switched their receivers. Like, we still didn't. We got to realize, just because of he has better weapons than he's had. Don't make it seem like y'all gave him elite weaponry. So that's one of the things that I want to preface. No, he's had better than what he has ever had. So let's hope it's better because those guys perform like we think they can. But we put unnecessary responsibility in making him, he got to win a Super Bowl when he has done everything in his power to win games, unanimous MVPs, and done everything else. And then you got guys like we would say, he has more pressure than Herbert. When you got 3 Twin Towers, plus a running back, plus a tight end, you're getting your whole defense back with Derwin James. How is Lamar's pressure more than Herbert? Like, that doesn't make sense. So I think when you do it different ways and look different in certain things, like I said, a Deion, a Lamar, you'll get that type of hate because there's a lot of other guys that should be outperforming Lamar that still have it, and they get the pass.
So I'm going to tell you why I believe Lamar Jackson had the most pressure. Obviously, I have pressure on him. I have some pressure personally coming in because I just think he's that good. Like I'm saying I have pressure on him as a fan. I believe he is that talented. I believe he can win a Super Bowl. But I think what people got to realize about Lamar Jackson, look at him coming into the NFL. There was criticism. He went from being after his Heisman, he was projected number 1 pick in the draft. His second year at Louisville, the year after Louisville, he ended up going 32nd overall because what was the criticism? Is he really a quarterback? Can he play? Should he play wide receiver? He should switch positions. So when he came into the league, he was already, I don't want to say had pressure, but was already like everybody was a skeptic. Nobody was a believer. So when you're not a believer in something already and it has some success, you still got to find holes to make this thing. I'm not all the way sold. So where do you go next? They lose the playoff game his rookie year. What became the immediate conversation? I don't know if he's good enough to win a playoff game after being a rookie. He was probably the youngest player in football that year. I think he was the youngest player. I think he was the youngest player in football that year, or one of them. He was only 21.
Took over mid-season.
Oh yeah, and he started the year mid-season after Joe Flacco completely stank it up, and they were like, okay, let's just get a new look. And of course, the quarterback that was, I think, to me, kind of handicapped by his offensive coordinator because there's something I think Greg Roman put him in a box in that offense, and with taking that to me very not remedial but very very niche offense, going to a playoff game, they lose. It becomes this pressure of who can Lamar be, and so I feel like he's always had that pressure since his rookie year, and so even after the MVP year, people still weren't sold. I've never seen a guy still have question marks if he can throw the football at a high level and lead the NFL in touchdown passes at some point in his career. Like these things. I feel like every hurdle he's had to overcome. And so I think until he wins the AFC championship or wins the Super Bowl, I think he will always have a lot of these questions. So I feel like he's already I think his career started with this pressure.
Yeah, like I said, he looked different. He did it different. Should he be a wide receiver? It doesn't make sense. Think about it. Should this guy be a wide receiver? Shows he's better than a wide receiver. So how do you go from I don't know if you can play quarterback to if you don't win a Super Bowl, you trash? Think about that. I don't know if you can win MVP, but now if you don't win a Super Bowl, you trash. So now I'm that good. So that's why I say it's unrealistic expectation scale he's been on since day one. Deion Sanders, 21-point underdog. Now they lose. We knew TCU was not TCU, right? To put it just like an analogy. But when they win, well, before that, but Deion's trash. They trash. Worst roster. Vegas got it at this. Well, now when they win, now it's, TCU has a terrible roster and they were bad. Same thing they did with Lamar. Now he won. Now you got to win a Super Bowl and you trash. The goal post and the goal line moves for certain guys.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a fact.
Okay, we got Trent with another super chat. Goes, it's going to be crazy when Joe Burrow has more playoff dubs next year, and y'all are going to start looking at Burrow the same way y'all do Josh Allen. So going back to our original conversation with Joe and Josh, any takes on this?
I personally think Joe is, like I said, I think he's a dog. I think he's the number 2 in the league. I think the Josh Allen train kind of got rolling a little fast, and it got bumped up a little more because he almost beat Patrick Mahomes, right? That was really – Joe Burrow actually had Mahomes and the Chiefs' number. until, you know, the playoff game. At least we've seen him beat them in meaningful games and get to a Super Bowl early. I think it will be more accepted of what we're saying about Joe Burrow because he's actually been to a Super Bowl and he's beaten Mahomes. Allen always almost beat him to go to the Super Bowl, but that was almost. Joe beat him to go to the Super Bowl and beat him 3 straight times in like a calendar year or whatever. So I think he gets a little more respect.
Yeah, I think with like Joe Burrow, like I feel like a lot of people is on Joe Burrow. Like I don't see too many people like really doubting him. The only doubt with him is his injury. That's the only flaw that Joe Burrow has is he gonna stay healthy? Aside from that, like the only quarterback that's over him is Patrick Mahomes. So it's up to Josh Allen, in my opinion, if he's gonna catch up with Joe Burrow. But I still feel like Joe Burrow, he's gotten that respect for sure.
Okay, and then another super chat. Thank you so much, Trent, for those. This one's from Eagle Nation. Will we hold Dak to the fire this year if they don't make a deep playoff run? That roster is at least top to bottom. Hashtag no excuses. Bama, you were very passionate about Dak earlier. I want to hear your take on this.
Man, we need to hold Jerry Jones to the fire after this. It's been 27, 28 straight years, and it's like it's the same old shit. Just use my language, because I'm so sick of the Cowboys. Like they figure out a way each and every year to be talk of the TV. Like every year, it's the same old stuff. They had the 49ers on the ropes, and Dak Prescott just throwing gifts, more gifts, clean pocket, just throwing ill-advised interception. They want to blame it on everybody. Then Jared Jones come out here, get Michael Irvin sweating off the cognac, screaming, we finna win a Super Bowl, doing backflip. Every year we do this. Every year for them to go 8-9, 8-8, first round of playoff exit. What happens? Like I'm so sick of it, bro. Like I wish like they just change on Jared Jones. Just need to, I know he's not gonna give it up, but he's the problem. He's the real problem. And then after they address the real problem, which is Jerry Jones, then owner, GM, all of that what Jerry Jones claimed to be, they will assess the team with a neutral point of view, not going, because I think he drinks Hennessy too, and he come in there drunk off the yak. That's when he just be dude said one of his players that got pulled over for speeding down the same road. He said the first time he got pulled over, he was doing 98. This time he was doing 66. So if you look, if you ask me, and might I add, on that road, you should be driving so 35. He said that's a 30-mile drop. If you ask me, I think he's growing up. So let's focus on that. Like, bro, y'all serious? This is I feel y'all, but it's just like, bro, that's just that franchise for me. Of course, like that dude, right? Dak should have been gone. I don't even know how he made it this far. Like,
how did he get that contract?
How did he get that contract? Let alone
he was strong. Well, he was strong armed in that contract.
Listen, I just want y'all to know this. Like, I grew up SEC country, bro. I remember this vividly. Him and Dan Mullen ran a Tim Tebow style offense at Mississippi State. So when he got to the NFL, he was a pocket passer. I was like, bro, like, when did he learn how to do this? I'm so confused. Yeah. Like, why they running this offense with him? I'm like, I mean, I guess if we finna go through the growing pains, and then next thing we just start seeing what we see over and over and over again, and then here we are. So I feel like this Super Bowl or just blow the whole franchise up. new owner, new GM, bro. We need to get everybody, maintenance men, people at the concession, everybody new. Everybody just need to be new from that whole everything. Everybody that collect the tickets outside, everybody new. I'm serious. Like, I'm sick of them, bro. They need to go. They need to go somewhere.
Hey, so I wouldn't say Super Bowl or bust, but I will say, and this is actually kind of like an insult to Cowboys fans, but it's NFC Championship or bust. Because how long have y'all been in the NFC Championship? Y'all can't even get there. Y'all can't even get there. So I just can't even talk about the Super Bowl or even them winning that. Never mind that, because they can't even get to the NFC Championship game. They fall into the 49ers. He lost to Brock Purdy, bro. He lost to Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, at a certain point, here's two inevitables. And as a Philly sports fan, every postseason or for every offseason, we hear these two things. The Cowboys are about to make a run, and Ben Simmons, he's about to make a every single year. And what happens? The Cowboys, they hype up their fans just to let him down the end, and then Ben Simmons turns into the same player he was that last season, not making any jump shots. I just don't get it. It's like a entertainment show. Like, you think like the Cowboys gonna do some, and then they don't do it. Like, happens every single offseason, but their fans keep believing that, it's gonna change. It's not gonna change. It's still the same old Cowboys that continue to fold. And also, I want to know how y'all feel about the whole, Trey Lance and that factor too, because I think if Dak Prescott has some bad games, even though I don't believe that Trey Lance is better than Dak or should be fighting for that spot, I mean, Jerry Jones, he's so egotistical and he wants just his Cowboys just to be in the spotlight. He's willing to sacrifice, some headlines about, his main quarterback might be, getting his spot taken for Trey Lance. Like, why would you even make that trade? But he's so like, he has such a big ego and he wants just the Cowboys in the spotlight that he's willing to risk the whole morale of the team, the morale of his quarterback, just to be in some more headlines. So I think that could play a factor in, that has bad games. Now they're like, Cowboys Nation's like, shoot, let's go with Trey Lance.
I ain't gonna lie. I just think Jerry Jones look at Dak as like, that's my stepson. Like, I never really wanted this baby. I kind of got handed. I kind of got, I just kind of got delivered this baby, and he turned out he had some talent. Like, you could just tell by their relationship, the way they talk about each other in media. I mean, when they asked about Trey Lance, he said nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, if you really have if you have a good rapport with the ownership and the people around, I'm happy to have Trey. I can't wait to be his mentor. Obviously I'm still the leader of this team. This is my franchise, but I would love to be able to help Trey develop and hopefully be a prominent cornerback in this league. But you could tell he was a little hurt by it. But ultimately, how many good competitive teams do Dak really need though? That's just been my thing, like with this whole Cowboys thing. Like, I feel like for the last 5 years at least, I've heard that the Cowboys are going to go on a run in the NFC, and they've had the talent in the team to do it. And I'm just like, I can't get too high on Dak. And I really feel like Jerry Jones brought in Trey Lance with this idea that, like, maybe if I can get what's the coach name? Mike McCarthy to, get in his brain, help him develop. Dak could stink it up. We could let him go on the road because some other team will pay him to be their starter. And we can go into this new era, because I think Jerry Jones been wanting to go into a new era for a while now. And I think Trey Lance could lead him onto that, or the Cowboys may, like Bama say, tank for Arch Manning in 2 years. So we'll see what happens.
I'm out here in Dallas, and just to ask the question to the question asked, like, who's not holding Dak accountable other than Jerry Jones? Most Cowboys fans really aren't, high.
Point.
The rest, right? This isn't a Herbert or Allen fanboy situation with all media. Like, media's not high on Dak. The Cowboys fans aren't high on Dak. Jerry just put himself in a bad position because really when they brought Trey Lance in, Dak's not going nowhere, because I was looking the other day, what was like ESPN or whatever. They were saying even if they cut him, they would have like $61 million of dead cap money between the next 2 years. So he's not going nowhere, because you don't want to just have that for a guy that can't beat out Brock Purdy and a journeyman in Sam Darnold. Like, if there's even a question, if Trey Lance can come in over you, Dak, you might as well get out of football. If he can't beat him in a journeyman in Sam Darnold, but he can figure out how to get to start on the quarterback of America's team, that's crazy. And then also we have to realize Dak fell into one of the greatest situations ever, right? Tony Romo gets hurt. Zeke is going crazy. The defense is playing good that year. And we know, just like Herbert, it's a next man up league. That was the next man up. And the Cowboys didn't want to get them at what they could have. It was like $31 million at that point when they started talking about the talks. Got up to 40. And I'll leave y'all with this. Dak has never won a quarterback battle in his life. High school quarterback got hurt, Dak went in. College quarterback got hurt, Dak went in. Tony Romo got hurt, Dak went in. Only thing I can really say about Dak is he's done good enough to never lose a job, but he's never won a head-to-head battle. Literally, at every level he's been at, a quarterback got hurt, he got put into the spot, and you have to give him credit for never having to lose the spot, but he's never just been the guy that the people want or the coach wanted.
That's a good-ass point. I didn't even know that.
Coach was always stuck with and did good enough. You know the quarterback position. It's like one of the hardest positions to lose.
Yeah.
Newton was better than Tim Tebow in Florida. But when your quarterback comes off of a Heisman, I can't just replace him. I got 4 receivers. I got multiple running backs, DB. The quarterback is the hardest position to replace. So even if you know in the back of your mind the guy's better, that's why Harbaugh got so much flack and so much then got applauded so much for making that Alex Smith Kaepernick change. Because it's like, whoa, you're actually doing that something that was not supposed to be done. We know Kaepernick probably has a higher ceiling, but Alex Smith shouldn't lose his job from getting hurt. So that's what's happened with Dak is it's like quarterbacks just stick around until they're almost running to the ground and it's like, no, we have to trade you now.
I mean, who has beat the Cowboys the last 2 seasons in the playoffs?
49ers.
At this point, I think a huge reason why the 49ers got rid of Trey Lance because it was a massive distraction, right? They gave up the house to get him, 3rd overall pick, and now it's like every single game, if they would have had him this season, every single press conference, what's Trey Lance doing on the sideline? Trey Lance. And they, as an organization, decided we don't want that distraction. Jerry Jones is like, bring on the distractions, bring on anything else, like he always seems to do. And I think a few of you guys have said it. I think they like Dak Prescott. They don't love him. You don't see any other organization with Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, even like
the Vikings
no
even
one
love Kirk.
talks about them the way that the Dallas Cowboys talks about Dak Prescott.
No, I agree. That's spot on. That's spot on. How much, Bama, you talked about Jerry Jones. What do y'all think Jerry Jones would do to go get Shedeur Sanders in the draft this year?
I don't think Deion will let his son go to that bullshit.
Yo, I promise you, Jerry.
Ruin that boy's career.
Nah, he love they live in Texas. They from Texas.
No,
you know, he was in that forward.
Is it right next door to?
I can see Jerry Jones. I already know Jerry Jones watched that TCU Colorado game and called Deion. I called Deion the day after.
His hands like Birdman.
Like I need your son. I need your son. I could definitely see that happening.
I think Jerry will do anything to stay in the spotlight. Like he said, he admitted he was going to draft Johnny Football at 6. Son had to talk him off the ledge. He's like, I knew what it would do for us purely on marketing. That's what Jerry is most worried about. And then, like I said, until Jerry gets off of that, he admitted on ESPN that it was like, what is your biggest fear of the Dallas Cowboys? Not winning another Super Bowl or becoming irrelevant. He's like, becoming irrelevant. He said, I marketed this team to be America's team, and that's all he cares about is marketing at the end of the day. And if he didn't care about just marketing and winning, there would have been a million other decisions that would have went differently over the last 25 years to win like one playoff game. With the amount of talent that they've had on that team is absolutely crazy.
And I think that he hired Mike McCarthy because he's one of the only coaches that, has a resume, but is going through all this BS. Because a good coach like Sean Payton is not going through all this BS. Like certain coaches aren't putting up with this stuff. And Jerry Jones, a lot of y'all have said, is a reason bigger than Dak why the Cowboys drought has been so long.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
I agree 100%.
MJ, I'm glad you brought up Sean Payne and if he has pressure on him or not, because our next super chat from Brandon kind of feeds into that. Going back to the conversation of what QBs have the most pressure on them going into this season, Brandon said, I think Russ and Deshaun Watson is under the most pressure this year besides Lamar, Dak, Herb, etc. They got too much going on right now. I think these are the obvious guys. Deshaun's whole issue from last year, Russ not being able to perform the way that Broncos country thought he would be performing. So what do y'all think? Is this the obvious answer, or do you have any hot takes with this?
After what happened last year in Denver, how bad Russell Wilson played, and then you get an offensive genius like Sean Payton. Sierra better do the same Sierra prayer she did to get Russell Wilson, for Russell Wilson to have a better year, because if not, he out of there. She needs to do that same prayer she did for herself, for her husband, because that was terrible. Because not only there's a difference between bad play and bad leadership and being a bad person, quote unquote, for your team. When all those Seattle Seahawks, the Marshawn Lynch's of the world that we know he only gonna keep it 100, he ain't gonna go on a podcast just to get a media clickbait, right? Marshawn say what he say, he mean what he mean. Sherman coming out multiple times. Other Seahawks that were high level talking about the disconnect while they were even winning in Seattle. So go back to Seattle and get booed like he did. For Broncos players to be mugging him on the sideline, arguing with him on the sideline, saying stuff in the media as a quarterback of his caliber, he had a lot to mend up, not only with his statistics and the winning, but that starts after those guys start trusting him. You got your own office, your own 7 parking spots, and your trainer got office. Them dudes looking at him crazy. One of my guys that I trained and played with actually at KU, Chris Harris Jr. He was a Bronco through the Super Bowl. He played on that defense, right? He was like, boys in Denver ain't feeling Russ. And this is before all this came out. So he got a lot to do, not only on the field, but off the field as well with that organization.
Legacy, to me, for Russ, I think this is a legacy thing for Russ. Like, I'm going to be honest, like Deshaun is under a lot of pressure, but I think Deshaun will go back to being Deshaun. Like, he hadn't played football in a year. I don't think anybody should have expected much out of him this year. Obviously, this is probably one of the craziest situations we've ever seen in football, I think, in the history of the game. Just the whole situation to the $230 million guaranteed. I think this the way the whole thing went, him being suspended for the year. So I feel like I'm more confident in the fact that Deshaun Watson will look like the Deshaun Watson we've seen as a football player. But I actually don't know what we're going to see from Russ, because I still think I just think what they did in Seattle benefited him in a lot. Like, there was like 2 errors in Seattle. There was the Legion of Boom. He played great defense. They played great defense. They can run the football. Russ, keep the ball in good hands, play action. You know, I don't think it was too complicated what they did with him his first few years. Then as he got older, Legion of Boom got retired. It became, he really became like a real thrower to football. Like, he was really their best player. He carried them. But I still think there was some critiques about who he could actually be, because they didn't really have any real success when he was the main attraction of the Seahawks. And I think after this year in Denver, it wasn't like just a down year. It was pitifully bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like just – it was – you can have a setback year. Everybody's had a down year. But this is like so uncharacteristically bad that it's like the like that is a bad taste in everybody's mouth of how it looked. And I feel like if he doesn't go out there this year and kind of rectify the idea of who he is as a quarterback, I think it could very much affect his legacy and how people view him as a quarterback.
Yeah, I've never. Go ahead, MJ. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I disagree. I think Deshaun Watson has more pressure than Russell Wilson. And one of the biggest things is, look, Russell Wilson, he's got a Super Bowl ring. Now, he is 34 years old, and it's part of the Broncos' fault for getting him all that money. And so I think with Deshaun Watson, before his whole case happened, he was unquestionably a top 5 quarterback in this game. If it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes overcoming a 24-point deficit, he could have beat the Chiefs, and you don't know, he might have gotten to the AFC Championship, or got a Super Bowl with the Texans. Well, guess what? The Browns gave Watson the most guaranteed money ever, And I'll give him a pass. He's gotten a pass for last season, but he's got to produce. He's got to produce. That's a guy that, all right, like, you got some new scenery. The whole case is done with. Let's see what you can do. Russell Wilson, I think with him, look, his really career is solidified right now. I don't think he's gonna, get another Super Bowl. And let's just be honest. Look at his weapons. Who the heck is he throwing to? Jerry Jeudy just got injured. Other than Sutton's probably his best wide receiver right now. Who the heck is this guy throwing to? They're gonna be running the ball more of the time, so it's gonna be some pressure on Sean Payton to see if this works. But I think really it's Deshaun Watson who has the most pressure to prove that he's back to being at the very least top 7 quarterback, because last season he was god awful and he gets a pass for that, but he doesn't get another pass this season.
Go ahead, Liv.
I mean, I've just never seen an elite. I don't know if we would have called Russ elite last offseason, but an elite quarterback have such a horrible season. I mean, has that ever happened to your guys' knowledge? Because it was just one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I would have never projected it, and obviously there's so much hype going into him with Broncos Nation and all that stuff. I mean, he got paid so much money, and I just think it has to be Russ because of that. I mean, you can say the same thing with Deshaun. He got the craziest deal of all time, in my opinion, getting that 240 seed. Holy cow. But yeah, I think like J-Rob said, the legacy part it's at this point just proving, like, was all of that real? What was that? I don't know. It's crazy for me to even wrap my mind around what the heck happened last year. And if he doesn't come up a little bit, I mean, his legacy's in the trash.
I agree.
Yeah, he's won a Super Bowl, but
just to put something in perspective too about Russ, because it's like, what really were you? Because Geno Smith has been a backup for 8, 9, 10 years, comes in for 1 year as a starter and breaks all your Seattle records.
A great point.
Yeah.
So think about that. We didn't say Rodgers came there like for what he's doing for the Jets, and Geno Smith just played for 1 year and just breaks all your records that you had plenty of time to try and build on. So that really is like, so what were you really in Seattle? A little better Alex Smith that got them over the hump, a glorified game manager that was able to create more and throw, or was it just truly Marshawn Lynch, the running game, and the Legion of Boom? And that's what Seattle players and fans will tell you that now. That's what they believe it is, was our running game, Legion of Boom. Russ just happened to be in the right spot at the right time.
And I think a lot of pressure comes down to what are the expectations for the team. Last postseason, the Broncos' expectations were to compete for the AFC West. And they weren't even close. Right now, the Browns, they have a solid defense and a solid overall roster. I think it'll be interesting to see how they do in a pretty stacked AFC North. But I think the expectations for Russ and the Broncos last season, and now even with Sean Payton, might be a little bit higher than the Browns.
My biggest miss, I think, of the last – my bad, MJ. I was going to say the biggest miss I had, I think, of last season was the Broncos. Like, I completely whiffed. Like, I thought they were going to be the second best team in the division. I thought they had the defense. I thought they had more going for them than the Chargers did at the time because of that defense. I thought they'd be able to run the football. And it was a debacle. Like, I had them finishing second to the Chiefs, potentially winning the division, just because I thought Russ was literally the missing piece for that team. And I could have never had been any more wrong. And I don't know how much of that was Nathaniel Hackett, because I got to say this. One thing I will admit, me and Bama actually had talked about this earlier. I think this was either earlier last year. That whole having his home office in a building, Sierra being able to come on the team planes and all of that stuff. As somebody who's been, look, I think every football player, DP, Bama, we've all been on teams. We understand the superstar players do get a little bit more leeway. We know that come with it. I know the treatment. You know what I'm saying? Like I know what that feels like. But at the same time, I think in the NFL where everybody's good, everybody's pros, you got other star players on the team, And what is how am I Patrick Surtain? And I know what I am. I'm one of the best corners in the league. I don't got my girlfriend on the plane. I don't have my own little wing in the building. I don't have my chef and trainer all up in the building training me. You know, like I just feel like some of that stuff makes you look like you above the team. And like people played with Tom Brady, and I don't think anybody would ever say Tom Brady has made them feel like he's above us by how he acted. Maybe because of the cachet that is Tom Brady, the cachet that is a Peyton Manning. But those guys, I don't think they ever tried to show up their teammates. And I think some of those things about Russ were one of the things I personally did not like to hear about. But you know what? They told you this in Seattle. All of these stories about Russ, these are the same stories that came up in Seattle. Think about how their former teammates, how Russ's former Seattle teammates, those Legion of Boom guys, talked about Russ. You don't really hear too many glowing stories about him when they talk about him. They kind of talk about him as a bit of a prima donna, you know? And I do feel like, thank God Sean Payne came in, because I think all of that will be nipped in the bud. And I think Sean Payne has also came out publicly and said, we're not living like that no more. So I think that was also a problem for that organization. And I think people didn't realize it until obviously the result. My bad, MJ.
No, you straight. I like to ask y'all just what are y'all realistic expectations for the Broncos? They in the same division as the Chiefs. They in the same division as the Chargers. Like just what do you think like they're really gonna do this post? Like, do you think they're going to go to the playoffs? Like where is this pressure coming from that you expect out of the Broncos?
You have Russell Wilson. You got to go to the playoffs. You got Russell Wilson and Sean Payne. You got to go to the playoffs, bro. Got to.
Is he better than Herbert and Mahomes though?
Don't matter, bro.
From a game manager standpoint, I think so, man. I mean, I had read something. That's why I said, bro, it's like really hard to really say, bro, because the quarterback position is so mental, bro. So, I mean, of course, people will just think that, oh, bro, it's not a legit reason for him to just lay an egg how he did. But they say that little special coach, which y'all talking about, bro, that was like his mental coach or whatever, / best friend. So they said before the season started, old dude died, right? And they say he stopped talking to, like Russ wasn't able to talk to him, all that, and Russ was like lost. And when Russ found out, they said, bro, he really took that junk hard. That dude passed away and didn't let him know his pre-existing illness. So that really took a toll on Russ that whole season, bro. So I'll be along with y'all. You had a whole year to grieve, because I tell people this. Everybody can't pull an Isaiah Thomas when somebody died, McGuire here and drop 50 points, right, bro. Everybody grieve in different ways, bro. Some people really shut down, bro, when they loved ones pass away. I know, I mean, everybody's just different. We can't expect everybody just to go out here and just channel their spirit deep down. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, some people
before this season with the Broncos that he passed.
Yeah, this season before.
Well, what about all the Seattle stories before the guy passed? What about the slipping of play that led him to even get to the Broncos? Because I feel like there was a slip that even allowed them to be like, bro, well, yeah, we'll ship you on off, bro. Like, you ain't getting nothing from you here as well. So I think there's been like a down slope for Russell for the last 3.5, 4 years of where after that Super Bowl loss in the breakup that it started to show like, okay, Legion of Boom started getting older. Marshawn left. That's been happening even before. Like I said, I know what that can do to anybody, right? Ben Simmons missed the layup and don't want to play basketball no more, so let alone losing your best friends. So, but I just think Russ's stuff has been a constant downward hill since that interception on the one.
But what he pulled off last year, DP, was like straight Space Jam type shit. Like, I get what you're saying but I'm like, bro, he went from slowly to just.
Yeah, somebody took his powers. Yeah, somebody took his powers.
I'm just like, bro, there's no way you went like this trash. Like, there's no way. I can't believe this. Like,
I don't even think you could think about somebody in history that's happened to, Bama. I can't pinpoint
exactly, bro. Like, that's why I'm like, I get it. What y'all saying? Like, oh yeah, maybe he was protected by the Legion of Boom, but shit, the Broncos defense not that far off. Like, I ain't gonna say they Legion of Boom status, but they ain't nothing to turn your nose up at. They was really out there playing defense last year, so
I think
it ain't like
exactly.
Because if you get that defense with Russ, we can do something.
Yeah, so that's how everybody looked at it.
So that's why I'm just like, I don't know. Like, maybe he do got pressure. That pressure, the answer to the super chat, that pressure on Watson kind of unrealistic. I can't expect nobody to come in 6 games. And man, y'all heard an NFL play before. I'm not finna expect nobody to 6 games and throw for 300 yards a game and all of this stuff. And
after
you already know
off the football. Like
say that.
I said, after 2 years off from football,
yeah.
New receivers.
Y'all think Watson's done? Y'all think Watson done? He's 27 years old.
No, he's not done.
No. He just started.
No. He is not done.
He shouldn't have no pressure on him because that was just like
unrealistic.
That's just unrealistic to expect him to come in 6 games and just ball
this
out.
is really this is really year 1 back for him.
Yeah. Me too.
The facility. I feel like those last games of the year for him was dang near like an extended preseason.
Facts.
Like if you don't go into training camp with guys and miss it. Put it this way: when I was playing at KU, I had a really good game, my second career game, but I got hit in my back. I missed 2 days of practice, so I didn't practice Monday and Tuesday. We practiced Wednesday, had a walkthrough Thursday, played on Friday. When we played on Friday, I felt like I hadn't practiced in 2 months. The game was moving so fast. 2 days that week. So I can only imagine a quarterback missing 2 years of what that football. He probably felt like a high school kid, regardless of how good he was. Probably felt like a high school kid playing out there on the NFL field just from how fast everything was moving again. Like I said, 2 days, I'm a receiver. There's 2 days of practice. And it felt like the game was so fast for missing those 2 days of practice.
No, I feel you. I also will say this, though. Quick add, though. Do you feel like, let's just say he comes in this year 1 and he looks like before everything happened to Deshaun, does he leap over guys like Justin the Herberts of the world? Like, where does he end up falling back in the conversation? Because you got to remember, let's remember, before he left the NFL, before he had to serve his time away, he was a top 5 quarterback in the league. I think everybody clearly, I think the top of the list at that time was probably Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, Deshaun, and maybe Josh. Depending on who you ask, that 5th spot could have been anybody, but he was in that mix. And I mean, if he can look back who he was of old, I mean, I think we all know who Deshaun Watson is at his best. And I think the conversation in the league of that top quarterback conversation. It could, and the thing is, Deshaun, the same way Mahomes is doing in the AFC West. If Deshaun is beating Lamar and Joe Burrow in order to get the Browns to prominence, the conversations are going to be crazy in terms of like who's the best 5 guys, best 3 guys in the league, because everybody's list is going to be way different. And the only one that's going to be the only constant will be Patrick Mahomes. The other 2, you'll hear Rodgers, Jalen, Josh, and Herbert. You might hear Lamar and Joe. Like, it's going to be so many names if Deshaun Watson adds himself to that mix again.
I think he could probably.
How far do you take him?
Be on the same level as Josh Allen or
Justin Herbert,
like Lamar. Yeah, Lamar. I do think like Mahomes and Burrow is like the 2. Like, Watson will have to really prove something in the postseason. But like, I think like if he has a crazy good like first season with the Browns, it's gonna be people saying, I got Watson over Josh Allen.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah, no, he's one of the best players. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the world. I can see them doing some good things this year over in Cleveland. It'll be that division will be closer than you think, and you might have all 4 teams get out of that division. And I'm being dead serious. You may have a division where 4 teams get into the playoffs.
All right, this is the perfect segue for our next segment. We're going to be playing Contenders and Pretenders, AFC North and NFC East edition. It's perfect because we've been talking about these teams throughout the hour. So, Liv, We'll start off with you. Who are the contenders and the pretenders in the AFC North for you?
Yeah. Got to go Bengals here. They're a contender. I know, hot take here. They have done it. You got to go with the track record, and we've said it all show. Joe Burrow's top 2 quarterback in the NFL, and if you have one of those guys, you're putting yourself in a good position to contend for a Super Bowl. For maybe a little bit more of a hot take, am a little bit more of a pretender for the Baltimore Ravens. They, like we've mentioned, a lot of offseason moves, some distractions in Lamar Jackson's contracts. Then you go get OBJ, Zay Flowers, and they still have a few more weapons. Obviously, their organization as a whole has just been a great one, right? No matter who they're playing or who really is that quarterback, they do a good job of having a winning culture. And last year, I kind of forget about this sometimes. Lamar wasn't playing, and you could argue that they were about to beat the Cincinnati Bengals if it wasn't for that 99-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown, which was interesting for me. But all that to say, I think the way that they're going to play offense might look a little bit different compared to the last couple seasons as they got a new offensive coordinator. And some of that just might take a little bit more time to implement. And there's always the question mark of health with Lamar Jackson. Obviously, I hate talking about it, but the last 2 seasons has missed, I don't know the exact number, but almost half the seasons, the last 2 seasons. So the Steelers, I have more of an upside with. I think they might have I think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I do. I think Kenny Pickett's going to have a really good second season. Pair him with Pickens, Deontay Johnson, who I think is an underrated wide receiver in the league. And pretty good duo at running back with Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. So I think Pickett's going to take a big leap this year, maybe in that top 15, top 10 conversation by the end of it. And Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record. I'm not going to bet against that until I see it happen with my own eyes. So my 2 contenders are the Bengals and the Steelers, and pretenders, Ravens and Browns.
I'm not going to lie. I completely disagree about the Ravens. I'm not going to lie. I think pretenders, because pretenders means like, do you mean like they won't make the playoffs? Like what do you like? Because you're saying this team is a pretender. So you don't think they can get in, or?
If I had to pick between the Steelers and the Ravens, who's making the playoffs? Steelers for me.
Wow.
And I don't see the Steelers contending for a Super Bowl by any means. But yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, I don't know. I would not look at the Steelers team. First of all, we don't even know what that O-line about to look like this year. That's going to have to deal with what the Ravens have and what the Browns have on their D lines. So I don't know if I can get behind the Joe Burrow. I love the take, because if you hit that one right on the money, I would have never seen it coming. But I'm gonna go a different route. So first, I'll start with AFC first, and then obviously I guess we'll go around and get back to NFC. I'm assuming. So for AFC North, I didn't even see the full thing. So AFC North. So the contenders. My contender is, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I'm gonna say the Ravens just because I think Lamar Jackson is my pick to win the MVP this year. I'm really excited to see him in a real spread offense. Like, I am excited to see him in Todd Monken, and I'm excited to see what they cook up, because if you watch that Georgia, I don't know how much college football y'all watch, but if you watch that Georgia offense last year, it was highly potent, and it wasn't a lot of like big, crazy caliber name guys on the perimeter, and they were a great throwing football team. I like what Todd Monken did there. So I'm going to go with Lamar, and I feel like because I have them as my pick, I'm going to go with the Ravens as the contender. The pretender, though, see, this division is going to be really good. So I'll say my pretender is, I'm going to say the Browns. Not because they don't think they're going to make the playoffs, and I don't believe in what Deshaun Watson could do. I'm going to say the Browns because I think some people have higher expectations of what that team's ceiling is this year than what I expect it to be. And I do think ultimately I have a lot more confidence in the Bengals and the Ravens to beat them. You know what I'm saying? Even though believe it or not, Joe Burrow has had some struggles against the Browns in his career. People don't actually know that. So it'll be interesting to see. But if I would say a pretender, I'm gonna go with the Browns, just because I don't know if they're going to be the team this season that everybody thinks they're going to be this season. So,
Bama?
Oh man, contender is tough. I mean, I can't say I disagree, bro. I can't say the Browns are pretenders just because even though how much I love Lamar, I still think for his quarterback at their best, I gotta go Deshaun Watson on the quest to a Super Bowl. I would go Deshaun, bro. Especially with the team he got right now. There's no excuses for him. You could argue and say Bill O'Brien created a cancerous culture over there. Who knows like where that team was headed even when they made the Super Bowl. And a lot of people want to talk about Deshaun Watson gave up a 24-0 lead, but man, I feel like more of that's on coaching than anything because Bill O'Brien literally has a track record of being doo-doo. He went over to Alabama, arguably the greatest program you can walk into if you're a coordinator, and was doo-doo with Bryce Young, arguably the greatest quarterback to ever come through Alabama. Doo-doo. So I'm just thinking about his track record of just being doo-doo. So I got to give Deshaun Watson the benefit of the doubt for him to have an MVP-like season with that as your head coach. I mean, now we talk about the situation he is over with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they got stars on defense. I mean, I know their defense probably really wasn't hitting on them like that so bad. I mean, too much, but they got the stars y'all want. They got the stars y'all rave about. Myles Garrett. They got a couple DBs. So I like what Cleveland got going on, cooking over there. I think they can be legit contenders, along with the Bengals, because I ain't gonna be nasty, bro. The Bengals and the Ravens, they gotta be legit contenders just because Lamar arguably has gotten. We saw what he's done with bare minimum, so now we finna give him level 1, level 2 weapons. So I think that can even be a few more wins right there in the postseason. You got Todd Monken along with T. Martin over there calling plays, so we finna get a little new, little innovative. Hopefully, that's gonna probably try to build around trying to fix his issues passing the ball. I hope like the little ones he do have, I'll give y'all that. When it comes time, them deep passes, he do let him sail a few times where it get missed from him. But I think that was just really coaching because I don't think Greg Roman developed the quarterback. Even going back to high school, like I think that dude was a wing T coach. Me personally, I think he was one of them dudes that were wearing wing T, bro, and never just wanted to get away from it. And you couldn't do it in the NFL, so he figured out a way to bring it to the NFL. He just has a track record of horrible passing offenses. So I just got to say they're contender just because they got rid of that loser right there. And the pretender, I hate to even go against Mike Tomlin, but oh no, man, I'm not buying Kenny Pickett. I'm sorry. Everybody love him. I can't rock with it, man. He got the Burger King hands where you got to wear 2 gloves. I'm not really buying it, man. I like my boy George Pickett. That boy from Birmingham, we breed them dogs out that way. Real mutts that go to the league. So I ain't gonna lie. I'm rocking with George Pickett, but Najee too. But I'm just not buying Kenny. So I'm gonna say they the pretenders. You already know. Oh man, Cowboys. Cowboys is the pretenders for both AFC North and the NFC East. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys for both.
I would say depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about playoff contenders, the AFC North, this, that. Everybody's a contender for the playoffs, and that because you have Mike Tomlin, who's never had a losing record. So as long as you stay within there, you know, I mean, you have a chance at the playoffs. The Ravens made the playoffs and couldn't beat the Bengals without Lamar Jackson. We know what Joe Burrow is, and then if Deshaun Watson becomes Deshaun Watson, they can play with anybody. I would say that's one of the best divisions out there because they have good teams plus good quarterbacks with one of the best head coaches for the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. Now, I would say Super Bowl contenders would have to obviously be the Bengals, and then we got to see what Lamar can do with the guys he picked up. So I would say Bengals and Ravens are the Super Bowl contenders if I had to go that far, but I would say playoff contenders, that's all four across the board. Kenny Pickett, is he my favorite? No, but I believe this preseason he had, 3 drives or 4 drives for 4 touchdowns. So maybe, him, Pickens, putting something together, Najee Harris, and maybe they can do a little something there. I don't think they can get close to winning a Super Bowl, but I believe all 4 teams would have a run this year at the playoffs.
Right.
I would say AFC North contenders, like y'all said, or like DP said, like it's stacked. I mean, AFC North and the AFC West. I mean, like it's gonna be a couple of teams in those divisions that they were in the NFC South or they were in some other division. They would have made the playoffs, but they're in a stacked division, and most of the time only 2 at best, make it 3 in a rare case scenario. So I think both the Bengals and the Ravens will be contenders. I think that Lamar, I agree with J-Rob, and that I think he'll have his another MVP, get his second MVP next season. And I think with the new weapons he has, even though they aren't super duper weapons like these other quarterbacks have, I believe that Lamar Jackson will rise up and definitely get to at least the AFC Championship. And Joe Burrow, he's consistent, and you can beg for him to make a deep playoff run as well. I think the Browns would be my pretender, and it's kind of weird saying pretender because it isn't. I have pressure on Deshaun Watson to return back to form, but the mainstream media and everybody as a whole aren't really expecting that much from the Browns. So it's kind of hard to call them a pretender because when I see pretender, I see all right, a team like the Cowboys that there's hype, but you really know they're not finna do nothing. But I do think if you're talking about AFC North, the Browns will actually have the worst record in that division. And I think that the Steelers will surprise some people. They won't be better than the Ravens, but I think that they'll definitely surprise people, be 500. I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan, and what all he's done, as a coach, I think that he's a top 3 coach in this game, in Mike Tomlin. And then in the NFC East, my division, I mean, pretenders is the Cowboys, bro. And the number one reason is their quarterback. Because if they had any other elite quarterback, you're talking about a Super Bowl contender. People like that. That's just what it is. And I do think the Giants too. I think the fact that they were even hesitant, this is a whole nother topic in itself, to pay their star running back sends a bad message to the locker room to be like, are we really all in on winning? Are we really all in on winning, or the fact that we wasn't really trying to pay our best player after we surprised everybody last season? So I think that they got Brian Daboll, but I think that they're pretender, and nobody expects nothing from the Commanders, and obviously got my Eagles as the contender at the NFC East.
Yeah. I forgot. Oh, we had to do NFC East too, right?
Yes, we'll get into that right now. So let's give the mic back to Liv. Who are your contenders and pretenders of the NFC East?
It's interesting. I like how DP said what really is contender or pretender, because back to the AFC North thing really quick. I mean, I agree that, in my opinion, they're the most competitive division in football. Pretty close to the AFC East. Those are 1 and 2 in my opinion. But so yeah, I think all 4 of those teams could potentially make the playoffs. But just wanted to say that one real quick. But NFC East, I agree with MJ. I think the Giants are pretenders. I think it's interesting because I think their roster is better and they upgraded, but I think their strength of schedule and just some of those games that they won last season and the way that they did it, their win total might just go down this year. And that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles in the NFL. But yeah, I don't see them having a great year. I don't see them making the playoffs. Even in the NFC, that's a little bit less competitive, I guess, at least to get to the playoffs. Eagles, an obvious answer. I think they are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Lost both coordinators, which I think could be interesting going forward. As a Bills fan, I saw the difference of just Brian Daboll leaving in one season and kind of the effect that it could have on your offense. And they lost their defensive coordinator as well. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. But they're stacked. Talk about stacked rosters. Both the Eagles and the Cowboys have stacked rosters from top to bottom. And the Eagles are absolutely Super Bowl contenders. Cowboys, you know, I agree with what most of you guys are saying about the Cowboys. It's tough to bet for them, I guess, just with the past and some of their leadership issues I think that they have. But I think Dak Prescott's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I do. I think I've seen him get it done, and some of those high pressure moments, I agree, he hasn't showed up. But I think his interceptions will go down this year. I think they'll have a really good regular season, but to be Super Bowl contenders, I can't say the Dallas Cowboys are going to be Super Bowl contenders this season. And the Commanders, I think they'll be a little bit better than people may expect. I think Chase Young coming back on defense, hopefully healthy this year. Obviously, we just haven't seen much of Sam Howell, so it's hard to really talk about them and their offense. I think they have a lot of really good skill positions, specifically at wide receiver, though. But Sam Howell and his play will determine how well they do. But I don't see them being contenders by any means this year. So the real Super Bowl contenders got to be the Eagles. To get to the playoffs, I think the Cowboys make the playoffs. And that's about it for my opinion.
I'd probably go with my biggest contender. Well, I mean, I just think the NFC right now is the Philadelphia Eagles Invitational. I just don't see a team this year in the NFC beating the Eagles. I'm going to be honest. I could say a team that I got going to the NFC Championship, but I really don't think – I really do in my heart believe the Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl because I think the team is too loaded. They have everything. Like they have the leader. It's one thing to be a loaded team and just have, you know, a good quarterback. They have a true leader, like a guy who will get them out of jams, who will do all the right things, who holds people accountable. He knows he has a talented team, but he's been on talented teams his whole life. He played at Alabama and Oklahoma in college. You know what I'm saying? But he's holding all these talented guys accountable. And I think his will to win will keep this already talented team so disciplined throughout the year. I just don't see a team in the NFC beating them. So they're my contender. My pretender though is gotta be the Giants. Like, I mean, obviously I could say my pretender is the Cowboys, but I never have too many expectations for the Cowboys. The reason why I'm calling the Giants a pretender is because people are so excited about them going into this year. And I don't see some of it because look, I think this year, I don't really know how great their receiving core really is. I don't know if their O-line is that much better. I think Brian Daboll came in there and definitely revolutionized the way they played offense. But I really want to see what happens when teams now account for Daniel Jones' ability to run and actually scout for it. And I wonder how he adjusts to that. I just don't know, to me in my heart, that 15 touchdown guy that everybody fell in love with because of going against Minnesota, who had by far one of the worst defenses in football, one of the worst ones in all of football. I didn't get lost in that. Like I just did not get lost in that at all. And I can 100% see the Giants finishing dead last in the division this year because I want you to know the Commanders are not going to just roll over dead and be the punching bag of the division. I promise you that team is going to have a good defense. They're going to play good defense. And really, if Sam Howell is serviceable, I mean, look at the other quarterbacks in the division. Are you really looking at Daniel Jones and like he's an all-world beater? You don't think Sam Howell can't beat a game against Daniel Jones? I mean, we've seen what Dak is too. I think the clear-cut best guy is Jalen Hurts, but outside of that, I think the division really is up in the air for them other three spots. And I could really see the Commanders surpassing the Giants. I could see Sam Howell being better than Daniel Jones because I'll be honest, and I'm not sold on Daniel Jones. And it's probably been hard to evaluate him these last few years because of the lack of continuity with his management and the lack of continuity with his receiving core. But at the same time, I've also just seen him play football, and it's just like I don't know. I don't know. You know, I just don't see it. I think the money he got, he should make sure he sends a Christmas card and a box of wine to Saquon's house for the rest of his life, honestly, because that boy got you paid. For real. He got you paid. So, you know, I'm gonna say my biggest pretender is the Giants. I'm not losing sleep over that. I'm just not.
Tell the truth, J-Rob. The Manning brothers got you paid. Sometimes in life, kids, I'm finna let y'all know. It's not about what you know, it's who you know. That was the only reason he was drafted in the first round by the Giants. Because guess what? Who he used to work out with? Oh, he used to work out. He went to Duke with David Cutcliffe. Who is David Cutcliffe? He mentors the Manning brothers. So they was hoping, oh, he goes over in the backyard and he throws the ball over there at the high school Newman with the Manning brothers. He working out. So that's the only reason they gave him that. They probably looked over. They probably called and said, hey, we probably about to cut Daniel. Eli or Peyton probably called over and said, hey, man, don't cut him, bro. Just go and give him a chance. We're going to do everything we can. And they was like, all right, bro, we'll do it. It ain't had nothing to do with Saquon. It ain't had nothing to do but with his uncles over there. His name should be Daniel Manning after that contract he just got, not Daniel Jones. I'm serious. And that's why they on Fraud Watch too, along with the typical frauds in every sport. This team is a pretender. For basketball, football, baseball, croquet, I don't care what sport it is. There's a new sport out there they just made up. Handball, bounce it off the trampoline. They are fraud in that too. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I can't stand them. 30 straight years they do this every year. So they the frauds. I never think they're a contender until they contend in the Super Bowl on February. Then I'll believe it.
And I think this one's pretty clear cut. Contenders got to be the Eagles, the best team in the NFC. I think only team that will give them a run would probably be the 49ers, depending on what Brock Purdy's able to do. That's the only team. Football is a different sport, right? It's not basketball. It's not a series. So one bad bounce could lead to a loss, but we're talking about if everything's everything and both teams play at their best, the Eagles are clearly going to be the contender for the NFC East. Cowboys got to be the pretenders just because that's what they've been doing for the last 30 years. They've been pretending to be good. And I don't even think the Giants or the Commanders are worth even calling pretenders. I don't think they'll even be good enough to be this year to pretend like they can contend. Like you can't have a quarterback like Daniel Jones. I think there was a stat that he's never thrown more touchdowns than the games he started in the season. Like, that's not sustainable. You get one little lucky year in a run and get some wins that maybe you shouldn't get, but you can't have a quarterback that can't throw. Think about that. Even 17 touchdowns in a season. So they're not even, I feel like, going to be good enough to pretend at this point.
Nah, I agree. I'm glad somebody said it because I think that Daniel Jones, we were drinking too much. People are drinking too much of that Kool-Aid, like a little too much. And I still, to me, don't understand how that boy got paid because honestly, if I'm the GM of the Giants and his GM would have asked for that number and his agent would have asked for that number, let's see what the market hitting for. Let's see who else. Let's see what the market in the NFL values. I would literally say
40 mil.
Exactly, and that's what I would have said. I would have said go test them. I would have said go test the market, my brother. Go for it.
I would have looked Daniel Jones dead in his eyes and said, "Boy, I'd tank for Caleb Williams
right now." I
would have looked him. Right, I would say, "Look me in my eyes right now. I'd tank for Caleb Williams before I pay you that right now. Now get out of my office. Go out there, man. Go out there, man."
Bro, I would literally say, I'd rather blow the team up and tank for the number one pick, or let's go on the market, and I hope somebody gives you the money you feel like you deserved, but that won't be at the New York Giants. But they gave him that bag. Oh my goodness. And I feel so bad for Saquon Barkley to have to just witness that and then have to take that lousy 10 mil. Like, oh my God. And 10 million is not lousy money, obviously. just into perspective for the NFL and what he does.
Nah, it's lousy that Bijan Robinson is a rookie making more
money than him. Yeah, he's making. Yeah, it is lousy. It's lousy.
Wow,
Bijan Robinson's making the most money out of any running back this year.
Yes, and that includes
crazy.
Christian McCaffrey. That includes Christian McCaffrey.
Oh man,
more than anybody.
That's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
All right, y'all. So to wrap up our very first episode, our last segment is going to be the top 10 QBs in today's game. DP, you want to start us off with your top 10?
Man, to be honest, when I think about it, like I said, we went through 5. You got Patrick Mahomes, I believe, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts is going to be in there. And the reason why I talked about those 5 is everything else is season dependent, right? Lamar, Deshaun, because even if Patrick Mahomes, let's just say, God forbid, that they didn't make the playoffs this year, he's still the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. I think 5 through 10 depends on pretty much what they do this year. When you talk about Deshaun, Lamar, I don't know if I said Herbert. You got some of the young guys, Trevor Lawrence, Dak. Where does he stack up in there in the 10 to 12 spot? So I think those 5 with the ones I named, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Rodgers, Hurts, whatever you want to put them at, are kind of the 5. Then it's Lamar, Watson. I like Trevor Lawrence. That's 8. And then the last 2 is really like a toss-up of like, right? Because now you're just getting the who's on your team, what were more stats. Because once we get to 8, 9, and 10, they weren't winners anyway and didn't go to AFC, NFC championships. So I think those last 8, 9, 10 spots are just really dependent on what happens this year. But I think those first 8 that I kind of named are the top 8 guys, regardless of what technically happens this year. 9, 10, it's just, it is what it is. But those first 8 are kind of solidified in where they're at.
I like it.
All right, Bama.
All right. So this is not going to change for right now. My list is like a little different, so I base it off of, basically the skill set, what I've seen, and how well I think that could translate to the greatness of the QB position. So, excuse me, a lot of people probably won't like my list. But number 1, undisputed, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, we're going to go Joey B, because he right there. They needed 5 downs to beat him. Patrick Mahomes did. All right. Number 3, I'm going to go Deshaun Watson. Lamar, you can switch those 2. 4. 5, I'm finna go T-Law. Man, that's T-Law. I believe it now. Number 6, that's where I got Josh Allen. I'll probably go Jalen right there. Jalen Hurts right there. Then Josh Allen. Then Justin Herbert. Then 8. That's 8 right there. So 9 and 10. So 9, I'll probably Father Time catching up to him, but I'll probably still go A-Rod right now. And then 10, here it come, y'all. I told you I told you the time is here. It's time to get on the train. Number 10, Bryce Young. I don't even need to see I saw enough. The 10th best quarterback in the NFL right now is Bryce.
And you said your quarterback's off of skill set, not what they do for the team and winning. Yours is just based off of skill set.
Top 10 so far right now. Them top 5, them boys translate that skill set into winning. The next is just, I feel like these dudes, the next 5 is like they got a real good skill set, but a head-to-head with those top 5, they might not come out on top beating those guys. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of how I feel, especially in the AFC. It's going to be pretty tough for a lot of them AFC quarterbacks to get past them 5 QBs I'm telling y'all about. And
Watson at 3 though, bro. Like
what? So I got to. If I got Lamar up there, I got to put Watson up there. I told you they right there for me. They both of them right there. I need right there. You know what I mean?
Rodgers far down on that list at 9, man.
Because he old. So
because he old.
But he only had 1 year that he he back-to-back MVP, and in 1 year where they beefing with you know what I mean, and no Devontae.
That back-to-back MVP, y'all kind of miss me with that because they could have gave it to Brady, but I mean, I get it. He takes care of the ball. I feel like, bro, with Rodgers, he just put up numbers like that regardless. For him to not get it done in 4 different phases of playoff runs against one team, I'm just sorry, bro. Like, that's the same thing with Herbert. How many times do we have to see y'all throw up 5,000 yards until it equate to a win or something? Can we get a T-shirt? Can we get a headband? Something? I see you, bro. I see you shining, boy. I see you, boy. No looks. Boy, do it up. Boy, I see it. But, hey, now it's the time, like, hey, can I win a game? Like, can you at least give me one with a win, sir? Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. I see you at 5,000, 4,000, 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He do that on the regular and it's with his eyes closed. But for you, I get it. We'll give you one time. They was at San Francisco. Colin Kaepernick went ape shit rushing the ball. Then you come back and lose. You the fake, bro. You are the fake. They bringing up all of these stats. You know how they do on Fox Sports in the morning when you drinking the liquor. They get you going. Then that's when you go to that sports book. Yeah, I'm finna bet on Green Bay right here. They 22-2 at home. Milk dud. He go out there and look like, bro, I'm sick of it. So I'm just done annoying him. But I'm gonna say he's top 10 just based off his skill set. He still got more prettier releases I've never seen since I don't even know who, because I didn't even see Dan Marino. So he probably got the prettiest release I've never seen. So I'll give y'all that. That's why he just top 10. I really want to have him in. I mean, I'm not buying it. J-Rob believing it. I ain't believing it.
Who? Believing who?
A 40-year-old old head finna go up there. Y'all just finna run the slate with him, bro. Like, I don't see it, bro. That Brady
MVP
stuff,
like year.
Y'all just gotta let Brady get that too, bro. Like he got away with another one, bro. He was an old head that managed to capture a Super Bowl at an old head. I don't just see all these old heads coming up in here at 45 and shit, capturing Super Bowls just because, I was good once upon a time. Like, bro, you ain't been there since 2011. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I don't see it, bro. So, like I said, then my 10 right there, Bryce will be top 6 to 5 soon when he starts to play and they go to the playoffs. My agenda hasn't started, bro. I'm sorry. I had to retire the Tua wagon, and now we cranking up the Bryce train. We got to crank it up. So, all aboard, bro. Top 10 already.
I'm getting the bandwagon ready.
Off preseason. That's all I need to see. Catnip buzzing right now.
I love that. I guess I could go next. I got my list written down. All right, so I got it written down. I wrote it down. So here we go. This is my top 10 quarterbacks as of right now going into the year based off all the information I've had. At number 1, I have Patrick Mahomes. At number 2, I have Joe Burrow. At number 3, I have Aaron Rodgers. At number 4, I have Jalen Hurts. At number 5, I have Josh Allen. At number 6, I have Lamar Jackson. At number 7, I have Justin Herbert. At number 8, I have Trevor Lawrence. At number 9, I have Geno Smith. At number 10, I have Deshaun Watson. My 2 honorable mentions are Tua Tagovailoa and Jared Goff. And my new Kid on the Block award, drum roll please, because by the end of the year, he'll be in this top 10. Can I get a Justin Fields? He's my new kid. He's my new kid on the block. So that's on my list. It's on my list. We'll see. But yeah, those are my guys going into the year so far.
Love it. MJ, what's your list?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to J-Rob's. First off, like everybody, Mahomes, number 1, gotta have that. Number 2, Joe Burrow. Number 3, Jalen Hurts. Number 4, Josh Allen. Number 5, Aaron Rodgers. Number 6, Lamar Jackson. Number 7, Trevor Lawrence. 8, Justin Herbert. 9, Matthew Stafford. And then 10, Geno Smith. Yes, I left out Dak Prescott. That was on purpose. I do think that Deshaun Watson, he could get in there. If he has a monster year, he could overtake Geno or Matthew Stafford. Biggest reason why I had Matthew Stafford there was when he had a legit team around him, he made it to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. There's not too many quarterbacks that they have everything great around them and they still get it done. Some guys, it's always something else. It's always something else. Like with Dak Prescott, like with Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes he had some great teams around him, but he still, didn't get it done. I did put Aaron Rodgers in top 5 because I'm just like, he has won 2 MVPs in the past 4 years. He's gonna have a great team around him. Everything is set up for him to be successful. So he's got to be in my top 5. And people might be surprised. Hurts is top 3. I firmly believe that Jalen Hurts is gonna have another monster year this year. I'm not saying it just because I'm an Eagles fan, but he has the intangibles that a lot of these quarterbacks don't have. Aaron Rodgers does not have the intangibles Hurts has. Guys like Josh Allen, I don't think Josh Allen has the leadership intangibles. You never see A.J. Brown talk down on Jalen Hurts the way that Stefon Diggs was talking down on, or was disrespecting Josh Allen. I do believe guy in Trevor Lawrence is better than Justin Herbert, and that's pretty much my list. I think it's most unbiased list I could do.
Same.
All right, Liv, finish us off strong. Your top 10 QBs.
Yeah, I can make it quick. Do you guys all think Jalen Hurts is better than Josh Allen? For real.
They right there. They right
there. It's neck and neck. Like it's really neck and neck.
Don't get me wrong. It's
I think the difference right now might just be the difference might be playoff success. It might be.
If you want to take Josh Allen, I can't be mad at you. But if somebody take Jalen Hurts, like I respect that too. Like
I think Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are. I think Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen too, like as quarterbacks, are good at a lot of the same things. Like
sure.
I think it's very close between those two.
I agree. But I was surprised with that. But anyways, all right. Number 1, I have Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, I have Joe Burrow. Number 3, I have Josh Allen. Number 4, I have Jalen Hurts. Number 5, I have Trevor Lawrence. Number 6, I have Justin Herbert. 7, Lamar. 8, Rodgers. 9, Tua. And 10, Dak.
Anybody you think could make the list by the end of the year could come in and take somebody out?
Deshaun's just such a question mark, but I think we've seen it before, so that's an easy pick. And I really liked what you said about Justin Fields. I think, I don't know, sky's the limit for him. So I'm pumped about him, but Tua is a hard one for me just because of his health. But I think when he's healthy, man, he's phenomenal. So
I'm really scared about. He's the only quarterback that I'm the most nervous to see play this year because I'm gonna be honest. He get another concussion, it's over. Like if I'm his parents, if I'm his mom, his dad, his girlfriend, I'm really sitting him down. I'm saying you have to hang this up because the amount of brain damage you have suffered over the last 2 years is not going to be worth it for the next 40 years. It's just
and when you get one concussion, you're more apt to get another, and they're going to be worse. Like that's just unfortunate.
He had 2 last year. He either going to do
in like
extremely
2 weeks.
well or extremely bad. I don't think it's not going to be any in between for Tua. He's either going to be amazing or he's going to be trash.
I gotta add one thing though that I feel like I know we got to go around our 2-hour mark, but the level of unaccountability by the NFL for the Dolphins, they never really got their feet held to the fire for how they handled Tua Tagovailoa's injury. I think that was the one thing that I feel like was completely missed. I don't think they did a good job of handling it, and I blame them for him getting the second one because I don't even think that game he played in he was ready to play in yet. So ultimately, I look at that whole situation and I'm like, how has the NFL not taken any action? You can praise and award the Bills for saving a life, but you can't punish a team for putting a life in complete danger. I just thought that was weird.
They didn't, J-Rob. That's unfair. The reason why I say that's unfair before we get up out of here, because you know how it is as a former athlete. DP, you do too. So the instant when you get over there, you get hurt, and them trainers be like, "What's wrong with you?" First thing we do is get mad, bro. I played fullback, so I already know how it is. You in there banging, you in the heat of battle. First thing you do, they go over there, they check you out, they put them little lights in your eyes. You get annoyed by it. So it's like, get up out my face, bro. Tua probably told them, hey, what's wrong? You good? They probably asked him.
They say he probably like, I'm good.
Like,
I know.
I'm good. Bro,
I know.
You want to say, oh, they should have took his helmet? If that's what y'all want to hold him to,
I do. You should have took his helmet. Their job is to, at the end of the day, I understand from a football player's perspective, but you know just as well as I do is that the training staff is there to protect you from yourself. I don't disagree with Tua probably saying, I was okay, I'm good. But you know, I know, and DP knows that training staff, we will go out there and play with our leg falling off the bone and limp our way out there, but they know you have to save you from yourself, and that's their job. It's not always Tua's job to save himself from himself, bro.
Just let me ask you this one quick question.
Go
when
ahead.
He got that concussion versus the Bills and he was stumbling, right there, punch drunk.
Yes.
He went out there versus the Bengals. He was throwing up gang signs.
Yes.
You don't think he talked this mama, sister, brother, wife, all? You don't think he talked to them in that?
Bro, no, but that's my. Bama, if you was my teammate.
So if for him to walk out there again versus the Green Bay Packers and do the same shit over, he was having a great game.
Were bugging for letting him do that.
Bro, that's on Tua at that point, bro.
Yo, Bama, I ain't gonna lie, Bama.
And I'm just done, bro.
Bama, if we're teammates and I see you stumble and fumble, woo-de-woo, I know you are 100% going to try to play the next week in the game. At the end of the day, if my job is your well-being and I'm seeing you stumble, you're not playing next week. Your brain needs to recover. The fact that you got up upright, started to walk normal, and then lost your balance when nobody forced you to move, that is from a head injury. I have to let your brain heal. And for him to go out there next week and start tensing up and his fingers are doing this, know why his fingers tensed up and he went like this? Because his brain never recovered from the first one. I don't think his brain ever had real time to recover from the first one. And I think the second one added more to it, and that's why you saw the result you saw. So I understand what you're saying from the athlete perspective. I feel it. I've been in that situation. I've played through injury. I've probably played when I shouldn't have. I played my entire redshirt freshman year with damn near a broken wrist, and I played with a club for an entire year. And I was taking painkillers before, after, and throughout the week to keep my hand because it hurt all the time because I literally had a hairline fracture and I played with it. So I get what you're saying. I get it. But the training staff's role as well is the best interest of the player. And I don't think the Dolphins had the best interest of Tua for that 2-week span. Sorry, we're over time.
All right. Ending off on a hot note. Well, that'll just give y'all some of a sneak peek of what we have planned for this show. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to our first show of the Press Box, Players' Choice's newest show. We'll be back here on Wednesday. Thank you so much, chat, for tuning in. We hope to see y'all on Wednesday.